Broadway show or any show at all that's not using media.
And one thing I also noticed in looking at the clip that we saw from Kaleidoscope, all of those projections and all of the sound work in that, it was so beautiful, and we take that for granted now. But when you started doing it, it wasn't easy.
No. Well, not to mention the technology was much more primitive. On top of that, one of the earliest shows I used projection in, I had to borrow the projection equipment, and I wound up showing things backwards instead of forwards because I didn't have that much experience doing it.
It probably shaped your aesthetic completely.
There weren't any Chinese filmmakers out there. One, it was, we forget that in the '60s it was still a different America racially, and the civil rights movement had just happened. So it wasn't. I felt it wasn't realistic for me to try to become a filmmaker at that time. But then there was all this crazy, exciting stuff going on in New York in the theater, in dance, and I was going to, because I was always an artist from being very young. I would do cartoons and drawings very, very young. I was always curious, and I think that's the nature of what an artist is curiosity. So I was out exploring all these arcane things that were going on in New York, like the underground movies that were going on, performances, dance, progressive dance works. So I was doing, that was all sort of, I was integrating all of that as I was going along, not really knowing that I was going to end up in the theater. And when I graduated from film school, not knowing what direction I was going to go in, I decided to take dance with a notorious choreographer in New York named Meredith Monk. At the time she was kind of known for being a wild person, and it was the '60s, and I was feeling wild. So I took a class with Meredith, at which point she said, you're a good mover. She was teaching dance, and I had no desire to be a dancer, but she said, you're good, so what was I going to do? Disagree with her? But I was still very shy, and she said, come to my private classes, because I met her at NYU when I took classes with her at NYU, where all the other students were taking her class to lose weight. So and she invited.
At the time was very skinny, so that's not why he.
I was, and she invited me to take classes at her private studio, and I didn't go because I was very shy. So I was slackering off, and one day on Broadway in Houston Street, I run into Meredith, and she said, "Why didn't you come to my class? I'm having one tonight. Come." And I walked around the block 4 times that night, totally terrified. Went upstairs, and then my life completely changed. It was because of Meredith, really.
So the lesson is, go upstairs.